Okay, welcome Double O. Thank you for coming. Okay, so being from Doncaster and considering the north-south divide, what was your local music influence in your formative years?
Well, growing up, a typical Caribbean household. You know what I mean? My dad bought a lot of music, a lot of reggae, had a lot of old rock and roll, a lot of ska, a lot of blue beat, all them things. And my brother, my oldest brother, who's my late brother, he had a sound system. He had a reggae sound system. So growing up, I also used to see him bringing records. Yeah, I could record sound system. Everyone was like, even though Doncaster was small, it had the black community was very tight, and everybody was either into reggae or even into soul. It was like, so the reggae sound, everyone had sounds. Every little crew had their own sound system, and my brother and his friends, they all had sounds. Basically, my cousins, they all had sounds. So that was a strong influence. Seeing my brother bring records in the house, getting speakers, and to the arguments from my mum and dad, sound system, cussing him, but yeah, that was his thing anyway, and that's what I used to see growing up, basically. So it was always records in the house and music.
So what was he playing?
Reggae. He was like reggae,
mainly reggae,
lovers rock, roots,
Yeah, because we can hear it coming through your music, the influences.
Yeah, I like more the 70s kind of reggae. That's my kind of what I really feel and enjoy. So,
did you ever perform at these in your dances?
No, I was too young then. But right. As I got older, my cousins, they had a sound, which was we were like the Saxon of Doncaster. Like we were the younger ones compared to and they were like enough MCs, enough reggae MCs at the sound. They were called Commando, because them times it was like Sylvester Stallone had Rambo out, so a lot of sound systems was all like,
the toughest,
tougher than Rambo, Commando, all them kind. So they had a sound called Commando, and with some of my cousins and friends, I'd pick up the mic but it was their sound, but I'd sometimes go on the mic and sing, and do a little bit of chatting. But I was more of a singer for the sound. Yeah.
So these were your first bookings, yeah?
Well, it wasn't really a booking. It was just a thing that we all did. Just as youths, that everyone was into reggae and sound systems, and that's what I'm saying about Doncaster. Considering it was a small town, it was a tight community. There was the Afro-Caribbean Centre, which was 5 minutes from my road, but that was like the central meeting hub.
I think I saw a video of that.
Yeah. Everyone was. That's where everyone went, to the Caribbean Centre, and in the basement, that's where they used to have their sound. Yeah. And then the mothers and fathers, they would be dominoes at the top, and as long as we didn't trouble them, they was like, you do what you're doing in the basement, and and they used to do dominoes and music, stuff upstairs for the elders. Yeah. But that was like the main central hub in Doncaster, and luckily it was a stone throw away from my house.
So how did you transition from the reggae sound systems into underground dance music, electronic dance music?
Well, like I said, I liked a lot of stuff. So I had friends, they were called the Bass Pharmacy, a guy called Big Up Jason, and they used to get a lot of the early hip hop, and then when Detroit techno was coming through, they started buying a lot of Detroit stuff, and you go around the house, and they were the first to have decks. There's another guy called Marshy. He first had decks, and we used to go around to his house, and I was just fascinated seeing him mix. I was like, wow, period. And then we all used to try. We couldn't afford decks, so we used to go around to either Marshy's or Jason's house, who had decks, and then try and learn to mix. And then we had a friend called Errol, who was a drummer. And he was like one of the first ones to learn how to mix. So he used to tease us guys because of his drumming and natural timing.
Rhythm.
Yeah, he kind of learned the mixing first. He used to like, yeah, you see, it's like a cheesy smile where he'd be mixing, we'd be like, and then the techno was coming through. And there was stuff before that, but it was like, what I loved about the techno, it was like, well, the Detroit stuff, it just had the pads and it was coming from like the electro kind of days out of hip hop, basically.
Okay. So your first DJing experience was that around the
my first DJ experience was there was a pirate station called the Power Station in Doncaster, and it was three guys, but the main two was a guy called Bertie and Vestus, who started a pirate station called the Power Station, and I managed to get a slot on there. And then I remember getting the bug for buying music. I bought some music of a guy called Rob Ratcliffe. I don't know if you know. Do you know Rob Ratcliffe?
No.
No, okay. Anyway, so he bought a few 12s of him. And then I just got the bug, man, every week going down to a place in Doncaster called Rhythm Nation, run by Owen and Ian. And I used to go there, get my records constantly, all my wages going on there, hiding records from my parents, just spending all my money on, and got a slot on the Power Station. So I used to DJ on there.
Techno, yeah?
Yeah, mainly, this is before the jungle anyway, so it was like, mainly like, a lot, I used to buy everything. I used to buy house, I used to buy garage, a lot of US stuff, imports. So on there I was playing like house, garage, and techno. And then early kind of hardcore. But
so who did you meet around those days then?
There was, like I said, there was the bass farms doing it. There wasn't many really playing like jungle. The only few junglists was like DJ Revolver. There's a lot of guys from Sheffield, Mental Power, Easy D, Rush, Mongoose. Then you had the Nottingham crew. So around that time, it was good because there wasn't many back. There was DJ Rude Boy. There was like a few of us. Action, Radical and Action. There's a few of us like buying jungle because up north at the time, like, everyone was into techno. But not Detroit techno, more just bang bang. And it wasn't really... I like techno, but the style I used to play was more Detroit stuff. So, am I going off track here?
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So, at the time, sorry, what was the original thing you said?
I asked you who you met around that time.
Oh, who I met. So so it was like more through DJ Groove and the Bass Pharmacy guys. It was them guys I used to roll with, and we'd buy a lot of techno, early techno, but more US, Detroit techno stuff.
I would imagine this is around the 80s then, yeah?
This is late 80s,
yeah. And then like in 92, you had an EP come out with M Zone.
Yeah, well, how that happened now. So the warehouse started, Doncaster Warehouse, and there was a guy called Gary Woods he used to go to an act called Clouds. And basically Clouds it was a room inside the club. So back in the day, a lot of clubs, it's like you had the black room, so to speak. So they had the commercial bits on one side, then they had Clouds, which was for the black people basically. And it was like, so
some segregation going on.
Yeah, it was like it's like you stay in that room, guy. And basically it was like a soul club, but they'd play a little bit of techno in there, but more Detroit stuff and a bit of acid. But that was for the dancers, because at the time there was a dance called foot tapping, which is kind of like the dance what funky house people do now. Like the funky house dance. But back in the day, it was called foot tapping. And Gary Woods, it was mainly a soul, so you'd get all your your Jerry Curl and your Slick. Because back then, yeah, it's like, he was even to reggae, he was even to soul. There's some people like kind of both, but a lot of the reggae man who was sound, they didn't go to the soul clubs. The soul clubs, you had to dress up and look all slick. You know, you get man with Jerry Curl, relax. You know what I'm saying?
Reggae man,
so
like that.
Yeah, they were in that. Yeah. So, and luckily, I swing in both. You know what I mean? Because a lot of my friends was into the ragamuffin thing, you know, and my cousins had the sound, so I used to roll with them. And then basically
your dual wardrobe.
Yeah, and then basically, you know, my older brothers, they used to go to the clouds, and you know, everyone used to go to clouds basically, but you'd have to dress up to get into clouds. You know, no, you didn't have no tie, you were getting to know them kind of. So in clouds now, it was like soul, and then you play a tiny little section of techno, which was like house and Detroit stuff. But that's when the dancers came out. So you get some guys who would wear spats, which is, I don't know if you know what spats are, but
a bit younger than you.
Yeah, these leather shoes, yeah, with like black and white shoes, and it was like, but I never had a pair. I used to hate them. Yeah? So the crews would go in there, and it was like almost like early breaking kind of thing. So they challenge each other on the dance floor,
right?
But get rowdy. So man from Nottingham would come there. Like there's a guy called Bad Boy T, who was a big DJ at the time, Nottingham, but him and his brothers, they were wicked dancers. They would come into clouds, and there was a good dancing crew. Then you had some girls who was like dancing crews. There guys coming from all surrounding cities, even London. They'd go to clouds, and but
so it was quite renowned then.
Yeah, but then what happened is the soul people who wanted to dance the soul, they kind of complained to the DJ, say, "Oh, come on!" It was almost like the hardcore of in the soul dance. You know what I mean? So he'd play a little bit of that. But it was mainly like soul, early soul.
And that was M-Zone, yeah?
No. This was Gary Woods.
Right.
And then, Gary Woods, when that ended, Clouds, the Warehouse started. And it was run by Gary Woods, playing techno. And then he got, from Nottingham, I'm trying to think of their name now. It's a big hardcore guy who was on Reinforced from Nottingham. Joe Nebula, yeah. So Joe Nebula, they were like the first residents with Gary Woods. But what Gary Woods was playing, a lot of the ravers didn't really went into it. So he didn't stay there long. Then Joe Nebula, they was there with some other residents. Then M-Zone got in. Then I got on board. Then Easy D and Rush got on board. And that's how kind of like the Warehouse started. So the main residents ended up being me, Easy D, and M-Zone. So that's how the Warehouse. We were like, it started off with Joe and Lil Nebula and Shutter and them guys, and then when it started rolling properly, the main kind of residents were me, M-Zone, and Easy D.
So that's how. So your first release was with M-Zone, though, yeah?
Yeah, and then my first release was with M-Zone, which we self-released, and I had two kind of like techno tracks, and he had like two kind of early ravey kind of tunes.
Fancy housey tracks, weren't they?
Yeah, one of them sounded like another tuner at the time. I can't remember. Anyway, but I had the more like the techno ones, and then we used to drive around all the record shops, and we just sell and return. So we drive around and say, look, how many 12s do you want? And we kind of distributed it ourselves, basically.
Was it a successful release?
No, it was all right. We got rid of a few. We drive around and say, look, what these, and they'd say, yeah, you want to take a few of those, and it was all right. Big up M-Zone, because he was the first one to give me my opportunity to put out my first tune, which I made at home. I think in the living room, because at the time then I had like a little reverb unit. I think my mum bought me my first. That Casio, some keyboard, had some it was it was a ragamuffin setup. but that's all I did all day. You know what I mean? My brother would come and say, "Yo, man, I just be there all day, just music in the living room." Some recordings you could even hear my mum at the end say, "David, you're dinner ready." It was this raw. It was this raw setup, right? And then I just got, and then I must have got a TB 303, which I got really cheap. And
I'd imagine they'd be quite expensive back in the day, isn't it?
I got that for £50, man. And I even sold it for £50 back to the same pawn shop where I got it from. Then I realized, then I got it out again. And then some guys from Sheffield I ended up selling again, really cheap. And then a month after that, I realized it was worth something like it got shot up to about 600. And I was like, shit. And then it went even higher to grands for the original one, yeah. So, and then my mum bought me my first sampler. Just kind of progressed from there, basically. But yeah, and then, so the M-Zone release he was the first guy to kind of, say, look, you've got a tune, let's put it out, basically.
When was your first jungle release?
It was with DJ Mongoose, Rogue Recordings. Yeah. Yeah, it was with Rogue Recordings.
3-track?
No, I think it's four track EP. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the early to mid 90s, how many jungle releases did you have?
Then shortly after that, I had probably my biggest one was the 007 Undercover Agent EP on Formation.
Yeah. That
was like early '94. And how that came about was, I think I went to some rave, I can't remember where, but I met SS. And I gave him a tape. And he heard, like the demos basically, and then said, yeah, come down to Leicester, man. But at the same time, I'd met another person, I don't know if I'm going to mention it, who I gave the same demo tape to. And he liked the tunes as well. So it was like a thing where one of the same tunes that he wanted to put out, I must have gone around to his house first. And then a version, took all my samples off my keyboard and left the version there. And then SS was like, what's going on? I want that tune. So I did a version with SS and kind of due to some confusion basically. The other one came out before my biggest release on Formation and then got signed to Reinforce.
Oh.
Not knowing to me, because I ended up going to a rave in Milton Keynes, the Sanctuary, yeah. And Mickey Finn is playing, and I hear this, I'm in the crowd, I hear this tune, I hear the pads coming in, and I'm thinking, boy, that sounds familiar, man. I was like in the crowd thinking, that's familiar. I hear the pad, then I hear because they had a Michael Prophet sample, Your Love, which is one of my late brother's records.
Right.
And there's an a cappella on the other side. So I hear the Your Love coming in. I'm like, that's my tune. And I was just speechless in the rave. It's like someone had just cut me or something in the rave. And then that came out on Reinforce, which was probably one of my favorite ever labels back in the day. So it kind of really gutted me. But, that was due to my inexperience at the time. And then SS ended up putting out one with the same vocal on Formation, 4 tracks, which did really well.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's quite a long gap between your 90s releases and your releases in the noughties. So what happened in that time?
Basically, it really did affect me. I think a lot of artists have been burnt. In their day. I think it's one of the unfortunate things as being a musician. You get a burning one time in your day, and it really affected me. Where I just didn't really want to send demos out to no one anymore. It's like I just make loads of music, but just be very protective of my music because I just didn't want that to happen again. And it's like for a lot of years I was just like just doing music but not sending it out, not putting it out. Even to this day now I still kind of just do loads in the house, just loads sitting there and indies on my case go, what are you doing, Dubs? I've got all these tunes, I got techno tunes, I make techno, I make all these things, and it's just sat on my computer not doing anything. But I never got into music for fame or money. It's just something that I did, and it's just something I love anyway. So that's my chill out is go make some music, and if it's successful, Yeah, it's nice, but it's not. It was never my goal. Was never to make music to become some big star, because I'm not on that. I'm always like to be in the background. You know? But
yeah. You know, I think that's quite a regular situation with musicians, isn't it? They create a lot of music, and it's a lot of it doesn't actually go out, but they've always got like a massive back catalogue.
Yeah.
So, at what point did you come down from Doncaster to London?
So basically, at the warehouse, a regular resident. Well, not really resident, but he used to get booked a lot with Stu Allen. Stu Allen's a massive northern DJ from Manchester. Who's, I'm sure you've heard of Stu Allen before, no? Anyway, he's a big like old school DJ, like Marcus in Selects, kind of Stu Allen. He's like one of the first in Manchester to start playing probably hardcore and jungle in Manchester. So he used to come to the warehouse, and I'd sometimes MC, but I never called myself an MC. I'd like to just vibe on the mic. So I used to sometimes pick up the mic at the warehouse, but he always used to like how I'd MC. So he said, "Boy, you should come down to London. There's a guy who's doing got a studio there, whatever." So I must have gone around there. This is around probably 95-ish, I would say. Anyway, so I could be wrong, but anyway, it sounds around that time. So I go down to the studio in London to meet Stu Allen. But when I get there, I'm thinking I'm going to do some underground tune. Some guy comes out like a Pete Waterman guy in the suit. And he's like, he plays some commercial tune, right? And it was Cool in the Gang, Ooh La La, right? So I've travelled on that way and I'm thinking, right, like, I don't really want to do this, but I thought, well, I've come on that way. So I must have wrote some lyrics quickly there while I was there. I did like a version of Ooh La La, right? But on the background, there's a young double O. I'm thinking, boy, I've sold out. All my friends are going to be running me out. But anyway, I did the tune. The tune ended up coming out in the charts. Got to something like 56 in the chart, right? So they wanted me to sign some big contract now and like be some pop star, basically, yeah? They give me a spread in some magazine. And at the time, I was called 007 back then. I don't know, right? But wasn't me. And even in the spread, they put two girls at the side of me, and they put this spread in some magazine. It was just, it was just not what I was on, right? Or about, right? So that came out, and even in Doncaster now, in one of the record shops, had some big, massive poster of myself on this release, and I was like, oh no. But then they gave me some big check. Then I must have gone home to Doncaster. My mum was like, they wanted me to sign some contract, and my mum was like, and mum and dad, sign the contract. And I was like, nah, it's not me kind of thing. And then the final nail in the coffin was when I went back, they wanted me to do a next one, and it was Mambo Tequila. The tune Mambo Tequila. So when I heard that now, I was like, nah. That was like, nah, man. That's not me. So I didn't pursue that kind of thing anyway, which I have no regrets said a bit. So and then Tim Reaper and Dward, them cheeky little, they was found the tune, and I think Dward or Tim did some like cheesy remix with the release, to take the piss. But what I did, where I was smart, I already put the tune on Facebook to show everyone before they got to take the heat away. Anyway, so I got a taste for like kind of London, and then with the warehouse, it was all I love jungle. I was always about breaks as well, because I was primarily a techno DJ, but I was buying jungle all the time, and I just felt every time you would play techno in the warehouse, people would literally stop dancing, and then there'd be the Nottingham crew in the corner and the Sheffield crew. They'd be like going crazy, but the Northerners, they're a crowd that where if you're playing shit, they'll let you know where, man. They don't mess around, right? But they didn't want jungle in there. It was like techno, And when you play jungle, it's like the patterns. It's almost like it's a reflection of the country, because the more northern you go, it was like 4/4. Then you have the Leicester mid-country, which was breaks, and the 4/4 beat. Then the south was breaks. That's how, if I map it out, like, you know, if I think in my head, it's like north, techno, mid-country, techno, jungle, south, jungle. And I wanted to be in the jungle, basically, right? But I'm north now. I remember playing, anytime I'd slip in a jungle tune, one of the sound engineers, he was like some old RB agent, he'd say, no, Double O, they don't like bass. What you doing? I remember he used to say, well, why are you playing that? Why are you playing that? Anyway, so I always wanted to go to London. And then at this moment, you know what? One of my friends had moved down there from Lab Logic Records, Danny. And one of my releases on Lab Logic, he'd moved down there. So he was working at Turnkey, which was a massive music store on Tottenham Court Road. He said, look, you know, come down, I can get you a job there, come to London. So roundabout. And plus jungle was going for a weird, it was the time when I moved to London, it was like 96, 97. And jungle was in a weird, because a lot of people had left to make UK garage. And it was in a weird, it was almost like, I didn't know where jungle was going, and I kind of fell out of love with it because I was hearing all these styles I weren't into.
Yeah.
And this is where I have to big up Chris, because when I moved to London now, I didn't hear no breaks no more. I'd put on Cool FM.
Chris in perspective, yeah?
Yeah. I'd put on the Cool FM driving around when I first moved to London. And I'm either hearing Jump Up, I'm not hearing no breaks, or I'm hearing UK Garage, which I liked to a certain extent, but after a while, it was too kind of smooth for me. It was like, and I didn't think nobody was making breaks anymore, chopping breaks. So I kind of stopped even kind of making jungle. I did the where I was musically. And then when I, through meeting Indy, and then she became friends with Panka at music college, who was at the time girlfriend to Marlon. I started hearing these breaks, and it was technicality, you know what I mean? So at the time, it was the only time I could hear breaks was technicality, bass bin nights, and a little bit of metalheads. So kind of, that's when I kind of moved to London, around about 96, 97.
So those are the nights that you were frequenting, yeah? You was metalheads, technicality.
Herbal was the main place for a lot of nights, yeah.
So how did you actually meet Indy?
If it wasn't for, I'd say, if it wasn't, this is the weird answer, right? If it wasn't for Bill Gates, right? I would have probably met Indy, because through Xbox Live now, I met Future through Xbox Live. And then Future, we used to play this one game now, and it was a crew of black guys who used to play this one game. And I used to get this guy talking a bit of patois, yeah? But it would say that was Future, right? And he used to play with us, and then one day I'm playing against him, can't remember, I think it was Project Gotham, and I hear him drum and bass in the background, and I'm like, oh, do you like jungle? And he's like, yeah. Then he turned out ended up being DJ Future, so I met him, and he said, oh, I know this girl around the corner, who she plays drum and bass. You should meet her with, you know, in the form of the crew, and it ended up being Indian, and yeah, we met and talked and same, you know, common hill from there basically.
That's a strange way, isn't it?
Yeah, so we wanted through Xbox Live. I always met Gary, who knew Indy around the corner from him, and that's how we kind of met.
You saying Gary was chatting the patois?
Yeah. No, it's funny because through Xbox Live, obviously everyone's anonymous. You don't see a face, so I hear this guy just with a little slang. I'm thinking, we used to think, is this guy black? We didn't really kind of know, right? But all our crew that used to play, he used to come in the room and play with us. And when I met him, I was like, oh, okay. but no, you know, this little odd words he put in there as a joke, you know what I mean? But that's how we met, you know what I mean? Through Xbox Live.
So how did Rupture form?
Basically, it was through going to Technicality. And like, you know, the nights of bass bin, Technicality. It's like there wasn't, you know, the stuff we liked with the breaks, and there wasn't enough nights. And me and Indy thought, in the day, we're not. It's like you got to kind of help yourself in a way, because we weren't getting booked at the time, and there wasn't many nights that we kind of liked. You know, the music, what we wanted to hear. So we thought, why not do our own thing? And then our first night, we kind of bit off more than we could chew, because we went to Dingwalls in Camden. And we must have spoke to the guy there. And it's a massive venue. And he said, all right, it was a Sunday night we chose. And then I think the first night we had, Equinox, Gremlins, because I think he was over from Canada. I can't remember the rest of the line. Honestly, my memory's terrible.
Panker?
Anyway, but
Panker?
Pardon?
Panker?
No, I don't think Panker played. No. Indy didn't even play that first night either. I think she was too nervous for the whole. And
it was quite a masculine lineup then.
Yeah, it was a big lineup. Yeah, and basically the venue was too big for what we wanted to do. But yeah, it was a fun night. But that was our first kind of venture into it. But like I said, it was on through nights like Technicality. That was like my favorite, because that's where I'd hear the most breaks. Yeah, I mean, that's what I love. So it wasn't through that kind of influence. Before, yeah, let's do our own thing, you know.
What was the second venue?
Second venue was under the bridge, in Hackney, and
Herbal.
No, under the bridge in Hackney.
That's an actual venue.
Yeah, it used to be called Under the Bridge, but it was kind of hard to work there, because the promoter, the guy who owned it, was a bit hard to work with, and we had a few nights there. I mean, one night we had some massive night planned, and then the actual night we get down there, he's cancelled the night.
Right.
And we've got all these people coming, right? And we're like,
yeah.
So then from there we moved to it was Public Life, which is a toilet which has been converted into a club, which held about 250 people. But it was a wicked vibe in there. And that was like our third venue. And then from Public Life, we managed to get in Corsica through, it was Max Vinyl, a guy called Max Vinyl, who told us about some club called Corsica. And he said, you should check that out. And we were like, Corsica? You know, where's that? But at the time, Corsica was very just techno. It's very exclusive, where they didn't have no drum and bass nights, because the drum and bass nights day 4 in their head, it was like the Coronet is opposite. And at the time, there may have been a bit of trouble, so they were like, nah, we don't want drum and bass here. So we were like, please, give us a chance. We're not like that, we're not on that, And fortunately, they did. And then we've been there ever since, basically.
From what I've seen, Rupture's always had quite a diverse range of DJs, like white and black and male and female. How do you feel about the racial equality within the scene?
To be honest, like, that's kind of another reason why we put Rupture, because I was sick of going to clubs and not seeing my own people in there, and then getting approached for drugs. Do you want drugs, mate? Or going to a club and then the bouncer saying, "What do you know who runs this night? What you come here for?" Like, especially if I had a Rasta hat on or something, they're thinking, what's he doing in there? Or if I go to a techno night, they look at me like, which, but in my day, it was the other way around. It was Spot the White Guy when I was going to techno raves back in the day. There's a good techno video on YouTube which is called Foot Patrol. If you see that, it was back in the day. It was almost like all black, and then I'm going to a techno thing, and I'm the people looking at me like, "What are you doing in here?" You know, or getting approached. "Oh, you got that, mate? You anything, mate?" You know, just used to piss me off.
Because you couldn't be there for the music.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, and one of our key things was to try and get more of my people in the dance and include them on the lineups, and also get more women. You know, because my attitude is either good or you're bad. I don't see if you're a woman or a man. You know, either you play good music or you play bad music, and that's always been our thing. And get more women in the lineup, get more people of colour in the lineup, get it equal in there. You know, try and just make it comfortable for all, and include everyone. You know, and give younger talent coming through a chance as well. Me as a youth worker, that's my kind of ethos. You know what I mean? Give the younger ones the bring in and nurture them through.
Talking about bringing artists through, you've also pulled, or Rupture as a whole, has pulled artists out of retirement. One of the latest ones I saw was Crystal. Was it last year, the year before?
Yeah.
I know there's been others in the past as well. How tricky has that been?
Well, I don't think it was fully us with Crystal, but I'm sure you missed. I think he played. I think it was in Brighton. I think maybe before that. And me and Indy got to hear that, and we thought, oh wow, you know, we'd love to get Crystal at our event. You know, same with people like Dexterous, Stretch, and you know, a lot of these people that kind of stopped. And you know, I'd be on the phone. Please come. You know, honestly, you'll enjoy it. It's not like, you know, it's not like we're gonna hear. You're gonna hear beats. You're gonna hear, you know. And then some people would take it on board and come, you know, or there's be some DJs who I'm not gonna name. I'd say, please bring this selection, and then they come there and play a bag of whatever they want to play, and then realize, and the crowd's not in it, you know. But that's how, you know, gone on the phone and saying, listen, you know, please come down. It's about beats, talking to them. And then they've come, people like Neil Tricks.
That's a brilliant set.
Yeah, amazing. You know, these are guys, by the records back in the day, you know, they were like, you know, The Core was one of the baddest tunes with that jungle techno kind of sound in the day. Yeah, I mean, bad tunes. But so a lot of these people, just by speaking to them on the phone and telling them, look, you know, you can play your beats, play deep, play what we want to do, but, you know, please no commercial. You know? Yeah. So that's how, and then they've come and they've witnessed the vibe, and they've thought, oh, wicked, okay. You know?
So I also noticed that you released a track called Dreaming on Syncopathic Recordings in 2007.
Yeah.
And then you released another track called Dreaming in 2017 on AKO.
Well, basically, right? So I did that, you know, big up sub, by the way, on Syncopathic, and I released that, and then I actually forgot, because like I was saying, because I do so much music, I actually forgot I released it. I must have done another version, which I then played to Stretch, and he liked it, you know, and then he said he wanted to sign it, and then someone, it was funny because I looked on, it was a post on Facebook, someone put, oh, is this a remix? And I was like, oh shit, yeah. I don't even really. But luckily, Sub was cool with it, and you know, Stretch was cool with it. I said to him, look, honestly, I totally forgot. I put it out. Yeah, basically. That's how that came in.
Sorry. How did you feel about the two versions? Because basically, looking at your skill set from the 2007 version and then the 2017 version, there's obviously a journey of progression in your production.
Yeah, well, I'm always trying to, like I say, I'm always trying to push myself, and there's so many artists that inspire, you know what I mean? It's like, so much good music, man, from people, man. And it's like, you're always trying to step up your game, and it was like, the version I did then, I thought, you know what? which I forgot about. I thought, I can use this, I like this vocal, I can do a better version. And it's just me trying to push myself. And basically, I'm not in a race with no one, but you do have that healthy competition. But there's so many wicked artists now doing some bad music, and I just wanted to do a better version and give that vocal justice, basically.
But even before then, your production levels had elevated, you know. So from 2007 to like the early teens, there was quite a jump in your progression.
I think as well, because I was like, back in the day, I was all hardware.
Yeah.
And it was through Equinox, basically, that I got into digital, because he used to say about digital, and in my head I was saying, digital soft, man. Like, it's all PCM sounds, which are these fake sounds, right? And then what it was, I must have gone around Marlins, and he had a program called Atmosphere, which was the first version of Spectrasonics Omnisphere, which I'm going a bit geeky now, right? So Marlon now, because I love pads, he loves pads too. So Marlon now played a VST called Atmosphere, because he was always telling me to go digital, which I was from a hardware setup, right? So he played me Atmosphere. When I hear the pads, my jaw dropped to the ground. I was like, right, and he said, you need, this is what you should get. You should get a computer, get sound card. But when I switched over to digital now, it was almost like I had to learn how to mix again, because with hardware, it's almost like the sound set now. Everything just sits in place. You don't have to do much EQing. Like I'm from a time where you just put something in, it just sounds right. Not even much mastering or anything, right? So when I switched over to digital now, it's like I had to learn the whole process again. It was like I had this thin sound, and I'm like, what? Where's all my weight gone? Yeah. So through that period, you can see I'm the kind of learning again how to get that fixed sound, and like I said, I'm always trying to push myself forward with so much good music I hear. So that's probably the journey you can hear. And like I said, I always like that vocal, so I wanted to do it justice, basically.
What advice would you give to anybody wanting to learn production now?
Just do it. Just just do it, and YouTube is your friend. Like there's so much tutorials on there, and try and mix with the same like-minded people who will push you on, and mix with people who are into music, and like I said, YouTube's friendly. There's a lot of, and especially there's a lot of friendly groups in the music who will help each other, and just go for it, man. And don't be torn into this. Oh, you need this or you need that. Just find whatever you're comfortable doing, and just trust in yourself and just go for it. Try and be real to yourself, innit?
Okay, going back to Rupture. Recently you had, was it the 14th birthday?
13th.
Yeah. That was
Was it 13th? Yeah, 13th.
Was it the 13th? Yeah.
I don't know.
It's been a while.
Indy be like, what?
And on the show, you was asking people to share their favourite moments and memories.
Yeah.
What was your favourite moment?
You know what? I've got so many favourite moments, right? But honestly, when I ruptured, I had the bad thing where in Rupture nights, people used to think I was being moody because I'm constantly worrying, right? And it's something I've got better with. Because any dip in the vibe, in my head, I'm thinking, nah, man, it's not running, right? And it's something I had to just step on myself and say, you know what, it's a good night. Like, I'm always looking for something that's not there to be looked for. Just constantly walking around in circles, making sure each room's running. Oh, is this, and then I'm just kind of, I'm bad for that, right? Looking for something that's not there to be worried about, right?
You're working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, around about 3-4 o'clock is when I start to relax, yeah? And then my favourite moments it's around about 3-4 o'clock, and I'll just look in the dance, and I look around and I just see people smiling, dancing, enjoying themselves, and that's my favourite moment. I'm like, you know what? We're actually doing a not bad job. It's like, that's when I kind of enjoy it. I'm thinking, I'm actually doing a not bad job.
Yeah.
So, there's so many good moments I've had, I can't really, I'll tell you what, a few. Scanner, seeing people go crazy to Scanner. Seeing Indie, Panker, Hannah, 3 women mashing it up. Like with the ladies' night we did, they tore every DJ, Holly Pod to I forgot names, but every woman we had on that lineup mashed up the dance, yeah. And it was like a finger up to people that say women should just play liquid, or this stupid concept that a woman's gonna play liquid. They just rinsed out the dance. Every one of them, right? Just people go crazy. And it was just like any regular night, like it should be.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, music's just either good or you're bad. You know what I mean? It's not about man or woman. You're either good or you're bad.
Yeah, there's some great talent out there. Some great female talent out there, man. How do you feel about Rupture becoming the mecca of the global jungle underground?
Really good. Well, myself and he we'd never walk around and say we're not mecca. I would never say that. It's like, if people want to say that, yes, of course I'm happy to hear that. But you would never hear me walk around and say, boy, I'm the mecca, because, I mean, mecca go on, yeah, that's what I say. But listen, yeah, like I say, I'm proud to hear some people, I've heard people say that, but myself or Indie, you would never hear us, I can say that, you would never hear us walk around and say we're the mecca of jungle. Okay. Never. Yeah.
Okay, so you have a jungle show on Sunday nights?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us how you arrange that set, how it's organised?
Well, we also do Rinse as well. Rinse FM once a month as well.
Yep.
To be honest, yeah, I never plan anything. Like Sunday night before the show, or even Rinse. Indie is organised. She's the organizer, right? Me, I'm pulling tunes. I don't know what I'm playing. I don't know what titles. I just hear it and I'm thinking, oh yeah, that sounds alright. And somehow we get through it. But Indie's like the one. She'll do the track list. She's organised. She knows what tune she's gonna play. Where I'm just raggo, man. I'm just like, I hear a tune, I think, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. And somehow, because Indie always says, somehow I always wing it through. It always seems to work. But I've always, I'm not really one to sit down and organise my set. And I just like, if I hear the tune, it vibes. Okay. When I play anything, you might hear some mad slow stuff, then you hear some, you know what I mean? So.
What new artists are you currently listening to at the moment? Who are you excited about?
There's people like Decibella, L Major, Dodds. You're talking new, you're saying, yeah? There's Dodds, L Major, a guy called Quant, is it Quant or Kant? I can never pronounce. There's so many, like, I get an inbox of tunes of people and like, just people like blowing out the way. I'm thinking, wow, these people are great, man. I just wish that I could release more of their stuff, or because releasing music on, especially when you're gonna do vinyl, it's a hard game. Yeah. It's a lot of preparation, but there's so much good music out there. And everyone's just killing it at the moment, raising the levels. Where I'm like, I hear stuff, I'm like, boy, you know what? I have to go to the studio and try to work hard, you know what I mean? So there's so many. There's loads I've missed out because I've UC Beer, he's another one. I've got a release coming from UC Beer. He's wicked. He's a young guy from Bristol. He's kind of like a a young Tim Reaper. No, it's not like Tim Reaper, but he's got that kind of drive and output, you know.
My next question was going to be, what's the next release?
So the next release is Eusebia.
Yeah.
And then we've got a Quartz EP coming out. And then I've been longing it out. I've got some like mini album I'm going to put out. It's got to mix down the tunes. And yeah.
Yeah. I saw an interview with Indy where she was saying about your biopic.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got that to do. Yeah.
Okay. When can we expect to see that?
Hopefully later on in this year. Hopefully, yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I've got the tunes there. It just needs for me to get off my ass and get them, ready.
Mm-hmm.
Indie's always on my case. What you doing? I just blame it on the kids. Say, I'm too busy being a father. Yeah.
Okay. What's your favourite word?
Love.
What's your least favourite word?
I'll say the N-word.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually or emotionally?
Just hearing good music from others.
What turns you off?
Fake, whack shit.
What's your favourite curse word?
I don't really curse, to be honest. It's very weird. It's very rare you hear me swear. But, yeah. A good fuck in here when people say fuck off, but it's not something I really say very often. Only when I'm really probably vexed.
Yeah, likewise. What sound or noise do you love?
Bass tones, deep bass tones.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Screech. 10k hertz going through your ears like some mid-range horrible sound. Yeah, screechy.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Something probably to do with science, like creating some gadgets or some technology. Yeah.
What profession would you not like to do?
Working in a sewer or something.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Yes, my brother.
I did have another question as it goes. Where do you see this? Where do you hope or see the scene going in the future?
The scene more. There's more people involved, more equal lineups. Not seeing a lineup just full of white males, basically. Just just fairness. I mean, just because there's so much people talented, and even the underdogs, giving them a chance. Yeah. So the lineup, seeing new names, seeing just slowly starting to bring people of color in there, but just having an equal lineup. I'm not asking being all militant and saying but fairness, keeping it real.